This episode of the DJ Force X podcast is proudly sponsored by Fixed. Fixed is a fan and artist-friendly independent record label that specialises in hybrid electronic rock. It's home to the likes of Celduella, Blue Starly, I Will Never Be the Same, Richie Nix, The Algorithm, Voicians, CD Akira, and a whole bunch more. Check out their latest label sampler for just $1 at their official store, fixedstore.com. That's F-I-X-T store.com. Save 10% off your first order by using my coupon code FORCEX. That's F-O-R-C-E-X. They have loads of shirts, hoodies, stickers, posters, and many other accessories for all their artists, and this is available worldwide with fantastic international shipping rates to go with that. So head over to fixedstore.com and check them out. And don't forget, use my coupon code FORCEX. Hello and welcome to the DJ Force X podcast, episode 40. Yes, I interview Scott and Spencer from the band Make. Today, they are based out of Chapel Hill in North Carolina. They've just released a new album, which is out now, called Pilgrimage of Loathing. It's on Accident Prone Records, and it's available on digital download today, and there is a vinyl coming. They also start their tour today as well, or Saturday, if you're listening to it on Saturday. So check out their dates. Go to facebook.com/thebandmake. They're also on Twitter under the same handle as well. But yeah, go check them out if you like these kind of like doomy, prog, sludge, kind of atmospheric metal. Then go check them out. It's good stuff. It's a good album. Their last album was really good as well, so check that out as well. It was released last year. So yeah, just a reminder, listen to my radio show on Tuesday nights at 11 p.m. on TotalRock.com and Saturday nights at midnight East Coast time on themix.fm. So yeah, if you could do that, that would be great. Also, rate and review the podcast on iTunes. That would be awesome if you could do that. And I'll be giving shout-outs to whoever who does do it. If anyone out there wants to do it, please. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with Scott and Spencer of Make. Enjoy. So I'd like to welcome to my show this week, I've got two members of the band Make. I have Scott, who is the guitarist, and I have Spencer, who's the bassist. They both kind of do vocals, but Spencer's the main vocalist out of this group. So, yeah, welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you for doing this. So how are you today?
Doing good. Yeah, doing really good. Getting ready to head out on the road on Saturday morning and tying up all just sort of all the loose ends there and feeling good.
Nice, excellent. So, just to get a bit of background on you guys, you came to my attention. I think it was about a year ago. I had Darren. He sent me the Golden Veil, which was your album from last year, which I really liked. It's like really heavy, very atmospheric. The word I was using. It was like it's got this real cold sound to it. It's quite hypnotic as well.
Yeah, that's
and it kind of. I like that style of music, along with a bunch of other styles. But if I'm sat there on my own, I can listen to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, same. Lungfish is one of my favorite bands and has been since I was in high school, and that repetitive, minimal, hypnotic thing has long been, a goal, I guess, a musical goal of ours, honing that. I've always found that was more intriguing and challenging to kind of impress with less.
Yeah.
Sort of, let... I'd never heard of Lungfish until we started this band, and Scott turned me on to them. They've since become one of my favorites, but I kind of come from a similar spot, just with having spent a lot of time being into like ISIS and Sleep and a little bit of the sort of like Godspeed You Black Emperor post-rock stuff. And there's something about that repetition as well that really, for me personally, it speaks a lot to modern life, and it's kind of a on my end. I mean, there's a lot to it, sort of like scientifically and emotionally, but I feel like it's a really great sort of means of capturing a lot of the like monotony that defines our overall existence, and being able to kind of get it out in a cathartic way, and like being able to sort of get like lost and totally immersed in something like that is really like, it's super helpful.
Yeah. I was going to say it does. It reminded me of like ISIS and Neurosis and bands of that kind of ilk, of that kind of like doom, like repetitive, like you say, but it's kind of like drone like riffing and things like that kind of really like just take you in and send you on that journey.
Yeah. We actually had someone at a show years ago say, how did they say it, Spencer? Something along the lines of you guys it wasn't hypnotic that she said.
Oh, it was that weird it was something like she said something about like almost falling asleep or something.
She said something about us being hypnotic, and it sounded like, this was after a show. It sounded like we were about to be complimented. I guess it sort of was, but she was like, "Yeah, I had to leave."
Nice.
So yeah,
I gravitate towards that kind of music, along with being a DJ. Like, so I'm very much into my sort of electronic music.
Right.
Oh, me too.
And it kind of, I see the similarities, because it is like dance music is ultra repetitive.
Yeah,
but it's a lot quicker.
Yeah, I at some point, Matt, our previous drummer, the drummer who was on the Golden Veil, and Trifine, he and I both started listening to a lot of like, everything from Detroit techno to, modern house stuff, like the kind of stuff on, like the Modern Love label, all the way to just really dark, repetitive. Sorry, one of my cats was standing directly over the phone.
It's all right.
Like really weird experimental stuff like the Hacks and Cloak and Demdike Stare.
I was totally going to say Hacks and Cloak too.
And yeah, I don't think intentionally. I don't know if it's worked its way into our writing style, but there's definitely an affinity, for that type of music for those reasons.
Yeah. They definitely, like Scott and Matt, I don't know nearly as much about it as they do, but they got me turned on to it in a very big way. And there's a lot about a lot of electronic music that I have been really appreciating lately. And it's like, yeah, who's to say like chicken versus egg? Like, we've always been big on like repetition and that whole like sort of Spaceman 3 kind of thing. But then like at the same time, like I feel like that there's an element, and Spaceman 3 kind of did this in a way, but like there is an element of repetition within electronic music that's like almost unattainable outside of that style, unless you really work it.
Yeah, it's so difficult to do organically.
Yeah, totally
so difficult. But I don't know. It's a goal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It sets a bar for us that we like hope to be able to meet.
Yeah, it's I always attain it to being a very tribal thing. Because if you think of like very primitive music of just drums, primitive dancing drumming, I've always seen the dance scene, electronic dance scene, like that, because it's that repetitiveness and everyone's dancing and being on whatever kind of drugs they're on, or if they're just immersed in the moment.
Right, and it's kind of like a way of, it's almost like a hallucinogen in that sort of like, tune in, drop out kind of thing where you're going to a place. And, I think a lot of people that, there are a lot of rock people that shrug off dance music or, even the most experimental, intelligent version of dance music, the Richard D. James of the world. But there's something that I feel like unless you've been fucked up and have danced like that, you don't quite realize how far out you're kind of going, how far out you're taking yourself. And I think, people, we live in a pretty awful world that's pretty awful all of the time, you know,
Yeah.
it's just, you know,
It's an escape.
it's another escape. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, like on the other side of it too, I feel like there's something really interesting about the sort of the pairing of like MDMA and electronic music because the two both have this kind of dual, like sort of two-faced kind of thing where either they can be like big time, like pure party, like immerse in the moment kind of thing, or on the other side of it, couldn't be like a sort of transcendent, like psychedelic experience almost in the sense that like, I feel like electronic music and even like a lot of electronic dance music kind of, it works within the same concept that even I think Lamont Young wrote about a long time ago, talking about like a single droning note and how if you listen to it for long enough, your ear starts to sort of break it down into sub-frequencies and you hear these sort of minor variations and how the note is played, et cetera, et cetera. And like, you know, I'm heavily paraphrasing, but it almost kind of serves as like a Rorschach test for the ear in a lot of ways. And like that level of repetition, even with a beat or a particular theme, I think can kind of go there. And there's something really interesting about that to me.
Yeah, it's kind of your brain chemicals, even with help or without help. It can transform completely what you're hearing, even though on the surface it sounds relatively simple.
Right.
Once your brain is tuned into or is in that mood, it just it flips almost, and then you become part of it. You can feel like you're saying, you can break it down, every part of just that one note.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
It's crazy because I've been a DJ pretty much since I was about 11, to be honest. If I want to go way back, but I started being like a club DJ around about my 20s, and it's very different. Like because I was in a rock band as well. For 10 years in between all that, but the scenes they're similar, but they're very, like you said, they're similar and they're different. There are people that just kind of shoo off dance music without having really listened to it, but you know, I'm not expecting them to listen to it, but you know, and there are some that have embraced that side of it, and it is very, I find it, like I said, like initially, it's a very tribal thing. Once you get that sound. And it's like you say, on the repetition side of things, even with your style of music, it's very tribal in its rawness. And I think that's what spoke to me on that front. It was just that kind of that level of, you know, I can sit there and I can listen to it. I can do stuff to it as well. You know, I was I was cleaning earlier and I had it on, and it was my background to my cleaning. Going on to your new album, which is what I was listening to. Pilgrimage of Loathing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Which is out, as of recording this, it's going to be out on Friday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's available via digital and physical means. You got a vinyl version coming out?
The vinyl's coming. I think the test pressings are actually on their way to us right now.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it shouldn't be too long.
Excellent. But the digital and the CD will be available?
No CD. We've had a little bit of trouble moving CDs, as you know. I mean, I think bands been having increasing difficulty moving anything over the past few years, and you know, things like Spotify, which I even subscribe to.
Yeah.
I feel shameful in doing it, but you know, it is the changing template for how we consume music, and it's always changing, and CDs seem to have kind of suffered the most. So without having a disposable income, we just kind of figured that vinyl's doing a little bit better. It's more impressive to hold in your hands. There's it's more fun. You've got a lot more to do with artwork, I feel like. And even as something as simple as holding the artwork as large as 12 by 12 in your hands, I've always liked that since I was a kid. So yeah, digital will be out on Friday, and then a little bit of waiting, and the LP will be available soon.
Nice. So it's I was going to say, with vinyl at the moment is on a resurgence with a lot of music being released on it. So Yeah, the CD's kind of going the way of the vinyl.
Yeah.
Ironic, but
if we live long enough, I'm sure CDs will get cool again.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Once people get past the, I don't know. I think it's going to take someone really like a culture of people wanting quality sounds from their streaming service.
Yeah, when is that going to happen?
I don't know. When everyone gets super high speed internet,
well,
I guess.
Honestly, I don't worry too much. I feel like. I almost feel like iPods are directly responsible for the resurgence of vinyl. I think, people just got tired of not holding something. And even if it is just, so every now and then I'll buy something and the vinyl was, easily identified as having been cheaply made. And, you play it on your turntable and it doesn't quite sound as good. Some of the mid frequencies kind of fuzz out. And, you'd be lying to yourself if you said, well, this is the best way to listen to this record. And sometimes it just goes on the shelf like a trophy saying, I supported this band and now I can listen to it, however I want. Yeah. But, I think, I don't know how long, your average person can go without supporting the bands they like before, their conscience starts to speak to them a little. So
yeah, I think it's getting the value for the money as well. Because what initially I think happened with the MP3, it was touted as being cheaper than CDs.
Right.
And then it didn't turn out that way. The CDs and the MP3s were the same price, and you're not getting as much with the MP3s. You weren't getting the booklet, you weren't really getting the artwork, and you weren't getting a physical ownership of the music.
Right.
Whereas now with vinyl, I mean, it's about the price some CDs were, depending on what you're going to buy. If it's like a single like disc or a double disc, obviously the price goes up slightly. But you're getting value for your money in a product. I feel that's what people are sort of gravitating to now.
Sure, and I don't know. I mean, if I do think that there's kind of I wouldn't say it's limitless, but there's more room to move in it, being creative with how you put the package together for vinyl. And, I think it's a really great way, I've always felt like, as a consumer, to interact with the band. Like, oh, they cared enough to put this together. Let me rifle through it and see what there is to see.
Yeah.
There's also something, I mean, I feel like most of the time, and I've seen, definitely seen some bands stray from this, but, with if you have a CD and an LP that have the same packaging, but the CDs is just the same thing, but smaller, like truncated down to, whatever the CD size is, like 5 inches or whatever. Yeah. It's like, if you're buying the LP, you do. I mean, it's like Scott was saying, like you have this piece of art that you can hold in your hand and really examine, and it's a full on package. But with a CD, like it's also small and like truncated and kind of like it almost makes. I mean, I think a lot of people just like it's so small that it doesn't quite convey the gravity of most of the art if it's the same thing as LP anyway. And most people are like, well, all I'm going to do is rip this onto my computer and then probably wind up losing the CD, and then it'll be on all my digital devices anyway. So like, why even do that when I could just download the digital file and maybe digital artwork with it?
Yeah.
It's definitely a thing I've caught on to, or just like heard a lot in conversation with people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange how it goes. I mean, because like the cassettes kind of seen almost a little resurgence as well.
Yeah.
Which again, that's smaller. So you're getting even more. You're getting a little booklet inside it still, but you're not getting. I don't know. I still have a tape player, so. Yeah.
I kind of like. I gave my tape player away years ago, and just have never reacquired one. I like it. I think it's kind of endearing that tapes have made a comeback. To me, it speaks to like a, like a nostalgia trip to the, people's, the history of DIY, like tape trading and stuff like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So back to your album. It's obviously it's coming out. It's on Accident Prone Records. How did the relationship with them come up?
So yeah, funny story. This was right before Memorial Day weekend, and I got an email from Gary, who is accident prone, saying that he was just in town from Portland. I don't know why he was in town. We actually haven't even gone back and had that conversation. I should ask him because I think it would make the story more interesting. Yeah. But for whatever reason, he was in Chapel Hill and he was wandering around, and he came upon this really fantastic barcade that some friends of ours opened and run. It's called the Baxter. They've got, the greatest selection of vintage arcade games that I've ever seen in one space. It's so fun. And anyway, so he just found himself there and was asking the door guy, who are the metal bands and punk bands from this area I should check out? And I guess the door guy said us. And he just kind of listed us first, and Gary went home and immediately checked us out and sent an email before he left for his Memorial Day vacation. And, we somehow scrambled together with Darren, our publicist, and got everything worked out because we had already had, some exclusive streams set up with Metal Hammer. I think it was the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just quickly, agreed on a contract and just, a short run of vinyl, and we already kind of had everything in motion. So there wasn't much to do, but that's how it happened. A guy was in town and he talked to some other people and they mentioned us.
Crazy. That just gave him a chance really on that one. So,
yeah.
Excellent. And they've put out a few bands themselves. Cattle Decapitation comes to mind on them.
Yep. There was something by Nadia.
Yeah.
Aiden Bakers.
So they've got the right, obviously the right label to kind of push your kind of music. So
yeah, absolutely,
which is really cool. So yeah, I mean, on the album, I'm just going to go on some of the tracks I really like.
Sure.
Obviously, it's 6 tracks long. I really love the opening track. Now, if I say this right, the Somnambulist.
Sure, right enough.
Is that right enough? What is it?
Yeah. Somnambulist.
Somnambulist. Sorry. Okay. Cool. So my accent got in the way on that one.
That's it.
I really like the way it's structured because you kind of got goes kind of much like your sort of like previous album, but not so much. It was a lot heavier. This one, I feel.
Right.
But it had that kind of ambient start to it. Kicks in, goes heavy, and then you had that break in the middle of the album with Two Hawks Fucking track. The kind of guitar. And then you went straight into Human Garbage after that, which is the track that was out on some of the streams, which I really like. I actually played it on my show the other night. So,
right on.
Yeah, thanks, man.
But the whole album's strong. Like I said, I listened to it from beginning to end. It was just those couple of tracks really kind of made me look up, see what track name it was. Kind of.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you mentioned Two Hawks Fucking. It's been. So one of the greatest things that a band can do, that maybe any artist can do, is just put yourself in a situation where you don't know what's coming next. And so whenever we're in the studio, it's just as big of a deal to me that we get the tape rolling, so to speak. I mean, Pro Tools, whatever. But we get the tape rolling and we just play. And for however long until we feel like we're tapped out. And then later, to me, the most fun I can possibly have as a person on this earth is to be sitting in front of some music editing software and creating collages of sound based on improvisation. And we've kind of been doing that from the beginning, focusing more and more on that and getting more serious about it. But it's not everybody's favorite. So I love when people love it because it's very important to me. And also in the context of our records, we very much to consider our albums as a piece unto themselves. It's not really about the tracks on the album as much as it is how can these tracks tell a story, and how best can we tell that story, and what's the best way, if we were the listener, how can we wrap our head around it, and what's the best way to get that to happen? And it just really seemed like after those first two songs that there was a really great chance to have time to let all of that just sink in.
Yeah.
Do you want to think about what we just said? The lyrics you just read, the music itself, let yourself cool down. And then, if you've got the vinyl, you flip it over and you're kind of hit in the head with just a complete cold open with Human Garbage. And I, again, I could listen to full albums of songs like that. So it's, I also get that if you want that, that's a good place. It's about the halfway mark. If you want to skip over it, go for it. But yeah, I just wanted to comment on that because it's not often that we get people singling out, those sort of tracks that we do.
I mean, it's like I say. I mean, I think you touched on it when you were just chatting just then, but having the whole album as one piece, that's something I really like. Because that's something that's been lost for a while with a lot of bands. They're kind of putting out albums and they have their spot tracks on there that will go off and be the singles to get the promotional tracks and whatnot. Whereas the actual art of creating an album.
And that's one of the reasons, like, personally speaking, like, I love vinyls still, is that, I mean, I feel like a lot of that sort of turn into, like, the singles, right? I mean, of course, bands were putting out singles on vinyl before the advent of the cassette tape or the CD, but I feel like that the art of putting together a full-on record, at least in the mainstream, kind of went the way of vinyl for a while. And I think vinyl its constraints in terms of time and format are really great for encouraging musicians who are considering pressing to it to make a full album piece.
Sure. And it's also harder for the person to find a song.
You have to actually work for it. Just skip to the next track. You got to sit there and find the groove and drop it right. And
I remember doing that a lot back when I was using a lot more vinyl to DJ. And I was a scratch DJ for a bit, so I had to I put tape on the records to find the right grooves and everything, and find the right samples and everything that I needed. So cool. So what are your plans currently going forward? I know you mentioned earlier you got a tour coming up, and that starts this weekend. Is that right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
How long's that for, and who are you going out with?
Just about a week, and we are support for Dragged into Sunlight and Primitive Man.
Okay, cool. And any plans after that? Like any other tours lined up or any other shows or anything?
We're playing the Hopscotch Festival, which is in Raleigh. We'll be sharing the stage with Yob. Really excited about that. No real plans beyond that. I mean, we'll have a CD release. I think Jay from Crowhurst is looking to come back in November, so we'll probably do some more stuff with him. No tour plans per se. I think as soon as we get back from this tour, it's going to be back into the mindset of writing and just do it. We're always looking to continue moving forward. We're a very, very forward thinking band, but never in a way that we have plans exactly. We just like to keep being in perpetual motion. So when we get back, we'll probably refrain from booking too much of our time away from writing and just be on track to have another album out as soon as we can.
Yeah, there are like a couple of sort of questionable things in the future, but not solid enough really to even bank on them.
Yeah, because I mean, when I was listening to your stuff, I could visualize a music video on a couple of them. So I was wondering if that was a plan of anything, of just producing something.
It could be. Darren will love that you asked that question because he's always asking us to do that, and I'm always like,
Yeah. I actually have had one idea for a music video so far, but I feel like it's the kind of music video that we would love as a band, and everybody else would be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
with this the phone.
Yeah, phone in the pocket. Yeah. Just like leave a cell phone in a pocket, recording video with the flash on for the duration of the song. Because it happened to me at practice one night, and it kind of looks like a weird intro to a video. Yeah. And so you could be sitting there watching it and just be like, wait, when is this gonna, it's not gonna end. Oh, okay. And at the very end, like whoever's got the phone in their pocket pulls it out and says something about like, shit, it was recording, and then just like,
yeah.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Cool.
Yeah, so you may see that someday.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'll look out for that one. It certainly does sound interesting. So cool. So I've got a couple of questions left, and then I'll let you guys get on with your day.
Sounds good.
Kind of generic questions I ask everyone that come on the show. So so I'm going to ask you, both of you separately, your 3 top albums. The ones that have, like, molded you into the musician or the person that you are today.
Okay, so the easiest one that comes right off right out of my mouth is Sound in Time by Lungfish. And that's the album that they were touring on when I first saw them. I was 17 years old. They were opening for Fugazi, and it changed my life, even though it took about another year or two for me to get what the fuck they were doing. But it blew my 17-year-old mind. And, I've had that record since, and that has informed it really. Like, it was once I got what they were doing, it completely changed my approach to, just being like, a kid in a room with a guitar trying to write his own material. But it completely changed how I saw music and how I saw composition.
Nice.
Then I would probably have to grab, something by the old Plagiarists, maybe Led Zeppelin 2. From a very young age, that album maybe taught me the most at how important the riff is, or at least how important the riff is to me.
Yeah.
And shit, man, let me go with the Richard D. James album, because that opened my mind to electronic music years and years ago when I was maybe a 20-year-old. And it didn't just open my mind to electronic music, but it just like Lungfish, but maybe in the opposite direction, opened my brain to the possibilities of what music even could be and how it could be composed and how it could move around. I mean,
he's Aphex Twin as general, like, along the lines, is just fantastic, like, electronic artist. I've actually seen him live once as well, which was a rarity.
Oh God!
And it was crazy.
I feel like he might be the only I'm sure I'll get a lot of flack for this, and there'll be people talking shit, and maybe even the guy sitting next to me. But I feel like he is maybe the only living genius in the world of music. Without being hyperbolic, I mean, I really truly think that he is a genius on a level that no one else is on.
He's certainly on another level. He's just, he's one of the people I've always kind of wanted to meet. I've got a countless number of his albums.
Yeah.
And I just found one the other day randomly when I was clearing out stuff, the 26 Mixes for Cash album. And I'm about to put that on actually after this. You just reminded me I found it. So,
great.
But yeah, no, he's like across, since I've got like analog bubble bath releases that he's done, and which is just like random, no artwork CDs with just a sticker saying Volume 3 or whatever.
Right.
And stuff like that. And it's just on a different level from any other electronic artist I listen to.
Yeah.
It's always kind of been there, away, like, out of that sphere. So
yeah. I mean, he is just in a world of his own.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I'll let Spencer list his.
I'm like, I'm having a hard time with it, honestly. Really, like, the first, like, the kind of number one that comes to mind is The Bees Made Honey and the Lion's Skull by Earth. It's been an album that, I mean, I have I would not be surprised, honestly, if I listened to it over 1,000 times. I feel like it's a total masterwork in that sort of, I mean, like we were talking about with Drone, the sort of combination of like minimalism, like an almost Baroque minimalist, like kind of record, which is like a contradiction in terms, but like I feel like they really nail that. And so that's way up there. Another one would probably, I mean, for a lot of the same reasons, be Sun's Monoliths and Dimensions record. I'd liked them for a long time. I'd been a huge fan before that record came out. But when it came out, I really feel like they set a new bar for heavy drone music and for metal overall. Just in the sort of opening up of what they do into the realm of like having other instrumentation and guest vocalists, and I mean, not Attila, but they had like the Vienna Women's Choir, I think, on that record, and I just feel like there's a ton going on there, and there's something about that combination of minimalism and maximalism that is like really astounding. And beyond that, I mean, it's kind of hard to say, and I'm going to cheat a little bit. I mean, like, in terms of like getting me to where I am today, like, any of Black Flag's records from when I was a teenager, sort of like setting me down this very punk rock route and realizing like I have to do this with my life. And Nutrimilko tells In the Airplane Over the Seas the same way. I feel like a lot of the Swans records, especially like the more recent stuff that helped me kind of put their older stuff into better context when they actually came back and sort of started doing it again, were really interesting. As controversial as Michael Gira is right now, it feels strange saying that, but the music itself has been really inspirational to me. So that's a total cheater approach to the question. But
you'd be surprised of how many musicians cheat on that question. So you're not alone. You're not alone.
Tempted, but yeah.
Cool. So what are your hobbies away from music? So when you're not in the band, you're not doing recording, writing. What do you do to relax? Hobbies, anything like that?
So I guess the top 3 things that you would find me doing when I'm not playing with my cats or playing metal, or doing anything musical. I am a lowly gamer. I am an adult and I still like video games.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Yeah,
so that, and I, as an ex-English major dropout, I read. I'm actually reading. I finished The Infinite Jest earlier this year, and I went straight into some light reading with Gravity's Rainbow by Pynchon.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of that right now. And then I am a huge cinephile. I'm constantly watching films, past and present.
Cool.
And for me, I mean, music really is like the biggest thing for me. But aside from that, really, like I'll play, like I don't play every game that comes out kind of game, but I really like, I mean, there are franchises that I really like Scott turned me onto the Fallout games, but the sort of older ones and the newer ones. And so I've been like really enjoying those. I actually just went back and playing Fallout New Vegas again because I can't afford an Xbox One yet to play Fallout 4.
Okay.
But do that, and I over the last like year or two, I've been very, very slowly. I have like zero expertise, but I'm sort of trying, learning how to sort of understand the inner workings of amplifiers.
Okay.
And it's something that like amps in general, I feel like are an instrument unto themselves. Amps and speaker cabinets both, and they're things that totally fascinate me as machines. And so I've done a little bit of work on sort of learning some repairs for amp stuff. I actually I have an amp of my own that a friend of mine is trying to help me fix that I blew up really badly, like right before the Crowhurst tour. So there, been sort of like learning that, and a lot of my spare time, like, on my days off, I'll sit and like watch YouTube videos about like amp repair stuff or like amplifier building stuff. I'm like kind of aspiring to start just like building clones of old amps. I really would like to build like an old Sun Model T clone or something like that. So yeah, it's just kind of a fun, like, working on it very, very slowly and incrementally, but it's been a lot of fun.
Nice. That's something my dad used to do.
Nice, no kidding.
He was before he passed away, he was a guitarist, obviously, when he was alive. Sorry, it was a while ago. But yeah, in the 60s, when he was sort of playing guitar a lot more in sort of groups and things, he was basically modifying his amplifier.
Nice.
And he was always because he was an engineer, so he was actually he was a jewelry maker as well. So he was very good with the spot welding and
no kidding,
and things like that. So he modified a lot of his early guitar amps, and he said the same to me. He said that they're part of they're a separate instrument because each amp's going to sound different. Every speaker's going to sound different. Two speakers rarely sound exactly alike. Yeah,
totally. And it's like, I mean, even like a lot of amps out there. Like, I mean, there are so many. For example, like the Laney AOR or the PV like VTM 120 or Butcher, and they're all based off of like the Marshall JCM 800 circuit, but they all have like super distinct tonalities about them, and I think there's something really interesting about that.
Yeah. And he said, it doesn't. You change the tubes in it, you change some of the wiring, and it just gives it different sounds. He built into like some of his early amps he built distortions into before.
No kidding.
That was sort of available by just sort of manipulating various parts of it and doing all the tests. And he was stuff like that. And so that's really interesting. Like it's a lot of fun. He showed me sort of briefly bits here and there when I was younger. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. It can be a lot of fun if you like tinkering with electronics and things. So
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I've had a ton of fun doing it. And I mean, again, like no expertise at all. It's not the kind of thing where, generally speaking, I could take someone's amp and, just like fix it right up. But I've actually done a couple of those like really like simple repair things. And yeah, totally. It's been fun.
Excellent. And do you both play on Xbox?
I don't. I'm a PC gamer.
PC gamer.
I would be, but I don't have enough money to buy a PC, and I've got a Mac laptop.
I was just wondering because I play on Xbox. Used to be PC many moons ago, but again, it was just this constant having to update it all. So I kind of fell into the format of this thing doesn't need upgrading; it will just play the games.
Yeah.
Cool. So finally, where can people reach you? Where's the best place to reach you online?
I guess the Facebook page has. Is maybe the best hub, either that or the Bandcamp page. It's just the band make all together. If you Googled Facebook, the band make, or Bandcamp, I can't think exactly what URLs are. But those two places, will lead you to just about everywhere else you can find us.
Excellent. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
We've come to the end of my questions. So, guys, thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Spencer.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot
for your time on this.
Cool.
But to everyone, check out the new album, Pilgrimage of Loathing. It'll be out as of when this releases. It will be out. So I'm going to say out now on Accident Prone Records. You can check out digital or the vinyl, which will be available soon. So. Cool. So again, thank you guys. Thank you for your time. And good luck with the album.
Cheers. Thank you. Cheers, man.
Cool. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.